Good morning, everyone. So, today we are going to learn about health hazards of air pollution. So, this is one of the important topic in your environment chapter. So, you will get a short note of 5 marks or 10 marks depending upon the exam pattern from this topic. So, in this session, we are going to cover the background information about air pollution. We are going to see the composition of air, sources of air pollution. Then we'll see the few small topic like discomfort, thermal indices, and comfort zone. At the end, we are going to see the long note on the monitoring and the prevention control strategies for air pollution. So we'll start the session with the background introduction of the air pollution. So the immediate environment of man, it comprises of air on which all life depends. So you know that respiration and even photosynthesis in the plants, it all depends upon the environment which surround us. So pollution of air, it is by dust, smoke, toxic gases, chemical vapors. This all together results into sickness and it affects our health. So this air pollution, it directly impairs our health. So that in the upcoming slides, we'll see how it is affecting our health. Now we'll go to the air composition. So basically air is a mechanical mixture of the gases. So what are the gases which results in the composition of air? Can anyone give the few example or few names of gases which comprise the composition of air? So yes, these are nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and few miscellaneous like argon, neon, krypton, xenon, and helium. So just note it down the proportion because in Viva they may ask. So the nitrogen is 78.1 percentage, oxygen it is 20.93 percentage. The next is carbon dioxide, it is 0.03 percentage. And miscellaneous, you can write about argon, neon, krypton, xenon, and helium. In addition to all these gases, we are having water vapor, traces of ammonia, suspended matter like dust, bacteria, spores of bacteria, and vegetable debris. So all this together, it forms our air which surround us. Okay. So now air becomes polluted by what? So these are the four items which I enlisted. These are the major important role to pollute air. So first one is respiration of men and animals. So we all know that we human we inhale oxygen and exhale the carbon dioxide. So whenever we are exhaling the carbon dioxide in air, it's a major air pollutant and it responsible for the air pollution. The second one is the combustion of coal, gas, oil, etc. So automobiles, vehicles, so the fuel which we release in the environment, it is a major source of air pollution. The third one is decomposition of organic matter. And the last is trade, traffic, manufacturing process, which give rise to dust, fume, vapor, gases in the environment. So these are the most common four pollution sources. Now the natural air cleaning mechanism. So we are having four natural mechanism. The first one is wind. So wind it dilutes and sweep away impurities. Sunlight by the oxidation it kills the bacteria. Rain it removes the suspended and the gaseous impurities. Plant life. So it utilizes carbon dioxide and it generates oxygen. So in plant it's completely opposite from the human. So they inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. So in this way they are reducing the carbon dioxide level of environment. So this is natural air cleaning mechanism. So you can write This four mechanism you can just enlist on in your notes: wind, sunlight, rain, and plant life. So the next one is air which occupied the room. So human occupancy and activity vitiate air and the occupied room, and it gives the sense of discomfort. So mainly we have two types of changes. One is the chemical changes and one is the physical changes. So chemical changes, what happen? The level of carbon dioxide increases and level of oxygen it decreases. It is because of the metabolic process or the respiration. Okay, so day to day human and animal respiration or metabolic process, it will lead to the chemical changes of air. Then physical changes. So in this we are having types of change. First is a temperature rise. Second is a humidity increase. Third one is a decrease in air movement. Fourth is a body odor, and fifth is a bacterial pollution. So we'll see one by one. First one is a rise in a temperature. So it is due to liberation of body heat. The increase in humidity, that is because of moisture which evaporate from the skin and the lungs. Decrease in air movement. So in a crowded places, natural movement of air will be reduced. The fourth one is the body odor. It arises from the foul breath, perspiration, bad oral hygiene or dirty clothes. Then the last one is a bacterial pollution. So the exhaled air, it contains microorganisms. So bacteria from the respiratory tract, it directly release into room during the coughing or talking, etc. So whenever the patient with the respiratory tract infection, it is having bacterial growth in the respiratory system. So whenever this patient cough, talk or sneeze, it will release the bacteria in the environment, which results in a bacterial pollution. So these are the two changes we noted. First is a chemical change and the second is a physical change. So now moving towards the smaller concept like a discomfort, thermal indices and the comfort zone. So first we'll see about discomfort. So what do you understand by the word discomfort? Anyone can answer? So basically discomfort, it is a subjective sensation. Whenever you are in a overcrowded room or any inadequate ventilated or ill ventilated room, one person feels subjective discomfort or subjective uneasiness. So this subjective sensation we know as a discomfort. So now by the definition, discomfort, it is a subjective sensation which people experience in an ill ventilated and crowded room. So now this establishes that the cause of discomfort that are not due to chemical change, but it is because of physical changes. Okay, so physical change means what? Earlier we saw the five changes, right? So that is rise in temperature or bacterial pollution, etc. So these are the changes lead to discomfort and not the chemical one. The chemical changes increase CO2 and the decrease O2. So that is not responsible here. Now the temperature, humidity, air movement, heat radiation, these all are responsible for the discomfort. Now we'll go toward the thermal indices. So here we are having total 5 thermal indices. The first one is air temperature. Second is air temperature and humidity. Third one is a cooling power. Fourth is a effective temperature. And the last one, it is corrected effective temperature. So now we'll see one by one. The first one is air temperature. So for a long time, air temperature was used as a comfort of air pollution. Air temperature alone, it is not adequate index of a thermal comfort. So we move towards the next concept, which is air temperature and humidity. So now these two together combine and it express as a thermal comfort. But still it is not satisfactory. So we added one more component. So we move towards cooling power. So here three things together will be expressed as a cooling power. So what are those three things? First is a air temperature, second is a humidity, and third is a air movement. All these three together we label it as a cooling power of air. Okay, so just note it down, this three concept. Cooling power equal to air temperature plus humidity plus air movement. So is it clear? These three together, it is a cooling power of air. The fourth one, it is effective temperature. So it is an arbitrary index which combines into the single value the effect of a temperature, humidity and air movement. So here these three terms are there: temperature, humidity and air movement. These three will be labeled as a effective temperature. Well, if you see the previous one, cooling power, we are having air temperature, humidity, air movement. It's not an arbitrary index. Now the last one is a corrected effective temperature. So this index is improved over the effective temperature. Radiant heat is also considered for the thermal comfort in addition of temperature, humidity, air movement. So this corrective effective temperature, that is the best or the improved version of the all thermal indices, as is comprised of four things. Which are those four things? Can you repeat? So that is temperature, humidity, air movement and radiant heat. So here the improved version, that is radiant heat, is included. So is it clear? So we are having total 5 thermal indices. So we'll just quickly revise. You can just enlist in your note also. First is the air temperature. Second is air temperature and humidity. Third one is cooling power. Fourth one is effective temperature. And the last one, it is corrected effective temperature. So can we proceed? So this is the last small concept about comfort zone. So this table you have to remember. If you are not able to remember the entire value, at least you remember this comfort zone value, 77 to 80 degree Fahrenheit. So this comfortable environment temperature is 77 to 80 degree Fahrenheit. Okay. So this only you just note it down in your note. In Viva, they can ask this. Okay, I will just quickly read other values. So pleasant and cool environment, the temperature is 69 degree Fahrenheit. So this all are corrective effective temperature. Okay. So you have to remember this term, corrective effective temperature. Comfortable and cool environment, 69 to 76 degree Fahrenheit. Then comfortable, as I already mentioned, 77 to 80 degree Fahrenheit. Hot and uncomfortable. So this environment, it is 81 to 82 degree Fahrenheit. Then extremely hot, it is 83 degree plus Fahrenheit. Then the last one, it is intolerably hot. So the temperature will be more than 86 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, so just remember this value, 77 to 80 degree Fahrenheit for the comfortable environment. So this is the table for the comfort zone. So now we'll go towards air pollution, which is our main topic. So by definition, air pollution is the presence in the ambient, which is surrounding atmosphere of substances, for example, gas, mixture of gases, and the particulate matter generated by the activities of men in concentration that interfere with the human health, safety, and comfort. So, this definition in exam by word to word you have to remember and write. By your understanding, you just can see that it's a just a mixture of gases like carbon dioxide or sulfur dioxide, nitrous oxide. So these are the air pollutants or toxic gases along with the particulate matter. So this all the air pollutant it will have direct impact on our human health, safety and comfort. So now we'll see what are the sources of air pollution. So total we are having five sources for the air pollution. So these are first is automobile, second is industry, third is domestic source, the fourth one is the tobacco and the last is miscellaneous. So we'll see one by one. First is a automobile. So these are the major source in air pollution in an urban area, especially where poorly maintained vehicles are there. Right. So over the like longer period, many more than 10 years or 20 years vehicle which are not properly serviced or maintained, this is a major source because the fuel which releases in the air, it is polluting the air. So the one major source is automobile. Second is the industry. So industry it emit large amount of the pollutant into atmosphere. So few industry now few X are there. So they have to first filter out all the toxic gases, then only they can release into the environment. So this X it literally controls or it literally reduces the air pollutant, but completely we cannot shut. So industry still it plays important role for the air pollution. The third one is the domestic sources. So combustion of coal, wood or oil. It is a major source for the smoke, dust, sulfur dioxide and the nitrogen oxide. So this is domestic source. The fourth one is the tobacco. So smoke from the tobacco, like most direct and important source for the air pollution, it is tobacco smoke. Then few miscellaneous sources are there like burning refuses, incinerators, pesticide spraying, natural sources like wind-borne dust. So you can see that in the rural area or even the few peri-urban areas, still in today's date also, all the refuses they burn in the open area nearby house only. So that burning of refuses, it releases toxic fumes in the environment, which is again the major source for the air pollution. So we'll just revise automobile, industry, domestic source, tobacco smoke, and the miscellaneous. So these are the major sources for air pollution. So now we'll go towards the air pollutants. So more than 100 substances it pollutes the air. The important one are just note it down all the air pollutant gases name. They can ask in Viva also. Even in your long short notes, you have to mention these gases. So these are carbon dioxide, CO that is carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, then nitrous oxide, nitrogen dioxide, NO2, fluorine compound, lead, cadmium, ozone, then PAH, the full form is polynuclear aromatic hydrocarbons. So these are the major air pollutants. So now we'll go towards the monitoring of air pollution. So the best indicator of air pollution are sulfur dioxide. smoke, and suspended particles. Now, these are the monitored daily basis over several sites. So, we'll see first is sulfur dioxide, which is a major containment in many urban and industrial areas. The second is the smoke index. So, known volume of air, if filtered through the white paper under specified condition and strain, it is measured by the photoelectric meter. So, smoke index, how we'll measure is like we are having specific filter paper. In that, we'll release the pollutant air and we'll measure by one instrument which is named as a photoelectric meter. So this volume will have an index. So this volume index, it is known as a smoke index. Third one is a grit and dust measurement. So deposit gauge, collect the grit, dust and other solids. They are analyzed on monthly basis. Then another monitoring index we are having air pollution index. So it's an arbitrary index which takes into account one or more pollutants as a measure of severity of pollution. For example, index used in a USA like 10 times of the sulfur dioxide or 2 times of carbon monoxide. So it's a comparison wise. Okay. The last one is a SPM. SPM means suspended particulate matter. Now SPM, it is the weight of collected particle in a clean day. So these are the few monetary index we saw. We'll just enlist the name. First one is a sulfur dioxide. Second is a smoke index. Third one is a grit and dust measurement. The fourth one is air pollution index. And the last one, it is SPM, suspended particulate matter. So these are the 5 monetary index you have to write in your exam. So now we'll move towards the effect of air pollution. Air quality in developed countries has generally improved in the past 2 decades, but many countries air quality still deteriorate, and because of the rising industrial activity or power generation and the congestion of street with the poorly maintained motor vehicles, still few countries they are struggling with the effects of air pollution. So now we'll see effects in a two divided manner. First is a health aspect and the second one is a socio-economic effect. So first one we'll see the health aspect. The health effect of air pollution are both immediate and delayed. So the immediate effect, it is acute bronchitis. If air pollution is intense, it may result even in a death due to suffocation. So you just note it down the delayed effect of health. So these are chronic bronchitis, bronchial asthma, emphysema, and respiratory allergies. So you can see health aspect in two divided effect. One is a immediate and one is a delayed effect. So health aspect, continuing effect, will see elevated lead level. In children, we can see it is associated with the impaired neuropsychological development as measured by the loss of IQ, poor school or academic performance, and the behavioral defects. The elderly children and the smokers, they are the most vulnerable group. Now we'll move towards the socio-economic effect. So this compromises the destruction of the plant and animal life, corrosion of metal, damage of building, cost of cleaning and the maintenance, and the repair of aesthetic nuisance. So you can just write down the socio-economic effect. Air pollution also reduces visibility in the towns. It can soil and damage the clothing. Now the last and the most important topic, it is prevention and control of air pollution. So the control of air pollution, it is an engineering problem. So WHO recommend that the following measures it should taken for the prevention and control of air pollution. So we are having first is a containment, second is a replacement, third is a dilution, and the fourth one is a legislation. So these are the four methods which we'll see one by one for the prevention and the control of air pollution. So first one is a containment. Prevention of escape of toxic substances into the air. It is achieved by the variety of engineering methods such as three methods are there. You can just write down. One is enclosure. Second is a ventilation. And the third one, it is cleaning. Second method is a replacement. So replacement, it is a technological process causing air pollution by a new process that does not cause air pollution. So use of electricity, natural gas and the central heating in place of coal has greatly helped in a smoke reduction. So in India now, de-leaded petrol, it is used for the replacement. The third method, it is dilution. So air pollutant, it is easily removed by vegetation. So the establishment of the green belt between industrial and the residential area. So this is one excellent attempt for the dilution. The fourth one, it is legislation. So air pollution, it is controlled in many countries in the world by suitable legislation. For example, Clean Air Act. So we have Clean Air Act. Legislation, it covers such matters as the height of chimneys, powers to the local authorities to carry out investigation, research and education concerning the air pollution, creation of smokeless zone and enforcement of standard for ambient air quality. To decrease the nuisance of air pollution, the government of India has enacted the Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act in 1981. So this is about the legislation. So we have seen till now containment, replacement, dilution and legislation. So now we are moving towards the last topic of our session, that is disinfection of air. So in recent years, of air has received much attention because of mechanical ventilation, ultraviolet radiation, chemical mist, dust control. So these four things are there for the disinfection of air. So the first one is a mechanical ventilation. It reduces vitiated air and the bacterial density. Ultraviolet radiation, it has been found that it is effective in a spatial situation like a operation theater or infectious disease ward. Ultraviolet rays have been proved effective for the general use in a public assembly and a schoolroom. The third one is a chemical mist. So triethylene glycol vapors, it have been found to be effective air bactericides, particularly against the droplet nuclei in the dust. And the last one is a dust control. So application of oil to the floors of hospital wards, it reduces the bacterial content of air. So these are the four things which we saw in a disinfection of air. First one is a mechanical ventilation. The second is the ultraviolet radiation. The third one is a chemical mist. And the fourth is a dust control. So these are the things we saw in air pollution. We'll just quickly revise and we'll conclude our session. So in this session, we saw the background information about the air pollution. We saw the composition of air, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, and other miscellaneous gases. Then we saw how air becomes polluted. So we have the four sources: respiration of the human, combustion, then the decomposition of organic matter, then the traffic, etc. Then this is the four natural air cleaning mechanism, that is wind, sunlight, rain, and plant life. Then we saw the two types of changes, that is chemical change and physical change. So under physical change, we saw rise in temperature, increase humidity, decrease air movement, body odor, and bacterial pollution. Then we saw definition of discomfort. So that is one subjective phenomenon when person can feel the uneasiness by the inadequate ventilation. But one person sitting next to him, he can say that I'm not feeling. So there is a subjective phenomenon. So that is discomfort. Then we saw the thermal indices, that is air temperature, humidity, cooling power, effective temperature, and corrected effective temperature. So the best one is the last one, corrected effective temperature, which include radiant heat also. Then we saw the table for the comfort zone. So the value for the comfortable zone, it is 77 to 80 degree Fahrenheit. Then this is the definition of air pollution. Then these are the sources of air pollution. So we'll just quickly see automobile, industry, domestic source, and the smoke from the tobacco, miscellaneous sources like burning of refuse, etc. Then these are the major air pollutants: carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur trioxide, etc. Okay. Then this is the monitoring of the air pollution. Then the last one, we saw the health effects and the socio-economic effects because of air pollution. And the long note for the prevention control strategy, we have four mechanisms. One is a containment, second is a replacement, third one is a dilution, and the last one is a legislation. So with this, I would like to conclude my session. So thank you so much. If you have any doubt, you can message or you can ask me personally. Okay, so I'd like to conclude my session. Thank you.